Thanks, Siri. Oh, that may not be Siri. Okay. All right. So the what's this? Cyber Threatcast. I didn't put a month on there at that time. Okay. This is kind of the point in the conversation or the meaning that we're going to talk about different threats and vulnerabilities that have come up over the course of the last couple of months. Our first stop, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, ladies and gentlemen. There is a attack out there called the Terrapin SSH server attack. Basically, this is it's an attack against SSH, which is a tunneling protocol. It's been used heavily in telnet and ways to securely remote access into servers and stuff like that for a long time. Kind of has fallen out of favor as we've gotten into more web apps and stuff like that, but it's still used out in the field quite a bit. This particular attack is based on some academic research, so proof of concepts are just kind of starting to show up based on this documentation. It attacks the vulnerabilities in the handshake mechanism of a SSH, really kind of depending on the encryption level and algorithms. It has to deal a lot with the ability of a server or a client to try to use an insecure or deprecated algorithm, and then getting that handshake to actually go down to the least common denominator, least secure algorithm, and kind of taking over. Hence why we have our old friend man in the middle, or adversary in the middle, or whatever you want to call it, in the middle, trying to manipulate and get into these systems. The attacker must have access to the network. They have to be able to get into that middle position in order to attack it. Latest version of SSH or OpenSSH out in the field does resolve this issue. So if you want to read up on it, it's actually a pretty good read. Has a lot of tips. You can kind of get a little more in detail about the inner workings of SSH. Next slide. Holy cow, the hospital escalation. So if you've noticed, there's been a huge uptick in ransomware, especially around the medical sector, especially this past fall. Fred Hutchinson's probably one of the best examples. It's a cancer center out in the Northwest. They have been fighting off a ransomware extortion attempt since probably September. The ransomware operators in their latest saber rattling or escalation resorted to using swatting against patient informations of the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center to basically force Fred Hutchinson to pay the ransomware payment and not invoke the patients. This is actually a scary new tactic for hospital attacks because ransomware is very seldom paid in a hospital situation, but it impacts a lot of other folks. The other piece about the hospital thing too that we found, there's Advent or Ardent Health. Ardent Health. It's a hospital system, probably split up around 6 states, maybe about 12, 15 sites. But right around Thanksgiving, actually kind of before Thanksgiving started, there was a spat of ransomware attacks against these hospitals in that system that actually caused ambulances to be dispatched to other hospitals. They couldn't accept new patients or new emergency room patients in these hospitals. It was pretty impressive about how bad that attack was, especially around Thanksgiving, and how widespread it was. So it's made more work for security folks in hospitals to really kind of secure those systems. I have my own theories, but they haven't been validated yet. So next one. Okay, Intel Broker on the move. So what is Intel Broker? Intel Broker is a threat actor that's actually been in the news for a little over a year. They do some really interesting things. There's not a ton of information on them as far as TTPs go, indicators of compromise. They just kind of appear, make a big mess of things, and then kind of move on to the next victim. In 2023, if you kind of look at what Intel Broker did, in February, they attacked We Grocery, which is a grocery store out east, I believe. Also out east, they attacked the District of Columbia Health Link, which actually provided health information to members of Congress. So that was kind of an interesting little attack. And then they kind of went quiet over the summer. And then in November, they claimed they attacked GE and GE Aviation Systems and published some information about top secret DARPA projects. I think, it's kind of cloudy about what exactly they extracted. No one really knows. And there hasn't really been a lot of information after this kind of came out. Well, then in December, Department of Defense and Army for official use only documents were leaked by again, Intel broker. So that brings us to 2024. And in January, CrossSwitch, was an online payment broker, was now hit by Intel broker. So again, not a lot's known about these guys, but they are known for going after high-profile targets. Hopefully, we'll find more about it in the coming year. I think that's it for the published ones. Okay, and one more thing. I didn't put this one in the Intel Threatcast, but I thought you guys would like to know about it. So a lot of folks work in safety critical organizations. There's a lot of aerospace business here in Northern Colorado. Earlier this week, Bosch Rexroth, they issued a security advisory against a product that's used on the factory floor. This product is called a nut runner. I kid you not. That's its actual name, nut runner. Anyway, what it does, it's a little cyber physical device, has a computer on board, and does very specific or very precise torquing of fasteners or nuts. Anyway, what they found was it can do a Stuxnet type attack on these nut runners, which will enable it, which says basically to the user, hey, it's been torqued properly. However, the torquing was not done properly and could cause a loosening of the fastener out in the field at some point, causing kinetic damage, causing brand damage, maybe a safety issue. So this was very interesting to kind of see, given what happened earlier in the week with a door flying off a 737 in flight over Portland. And the NTSB investigation on the 737 MAX 9s have shown that fasteners were not properly torqued. Okay. Anyway, that's kind of what's happening in Threatcast world. And now we'll open it up to the floor if anyone else has any really cool Threatcast-ish news they want to share.
Anything from anyone here? Anything from anyone online? Nick, do you want to stop the recording so we can publish it?
Sure.